A big name in the class of 2026 is back available. Kind of available. Was always available. Yet Brian Smith, recruiting analyst of the Portal podcast, here to discuss Richard Wesley, 5-star edge prospect out of the Southern California area, who committed to Oregon, and he jumped in a pool with Stan Lanning and said, it's Oregon, it's go Ducks. And 17 days after that recruitment, after there had been quotes flying around that, his dad was surprised that he went to Oregon. And, oh man, I didn't really expect that. And it just kind of had a weird feel. All of a sudden he didn't decommit, Brian. Remember, he just wasn't committed to Oregon fully anymore. Is this just one of those 2025 and beyond recruiting examples that's just going to make you talk in circles, make your head spin, and just make you go, what exactly are we doing here? Is that how this comes off to you? Because he's available. He's going to visit Oregon, Texas, Texas A&M, and Ohio State. Not in that order. Flip the last two. But what do you make of what has happened here in the last 36 to 48 hours?
NIL. Straightforward. I'm calling it out. I think this is a money grab. They thought they could get more money because Oregon's got a lot and it's got a lot of cachet, but I think this is a money grab. Call me crazy, but Oregon recruits that area hard. Dan's great at recruiting D linemen. They got a great program. It's not like they're short on NIL either, by the way. But this is the common theme. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I don't know the kid, I don't know the dad, but reading the tea leaves, talking to people, I don't get a really warm and fuzzy feeling here. So I'll be curious to see how many times this one flips. And I'm not sure that it's good for the program that gets him. The peripheral doesn't make me feel good.
Is there an example or comparison in recent memory that this, kind of calls your mind back to?
How many you want? I mean,
any of them. I mean, if there are ones that come to mind, I didn't know that there were that many like this.
Yeah, especially I live in the South, so I see a lot of it.
Yeah, but I mean specifically where your red flags are going up, saying I don't know if you want to go get this guy if he's just chasing the money, then that's just not the sort of guy you necessarily want to bring into your program, which I hear from plenty of fans online all the time. So I guess some people will be happy, maybe.
Well, like the easiest one, and it's kind of jaded a little bit, but it's a certain quarterback that's now residing in Westwood. But I don't think it's him necessarily. That's the issue. Any recollection of that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Nico's situation certainly comes to mind. Now, he was a transfer kid, but it still, yeah, the
recruitment.
Point's well taken. Yep.
Yeah. So that was a money grab situation around. He wouldn't have went to Tennessee. So
I think the other thing too, and I also want to make it clear that this is you and me guessing, not reporting. Yeah. This is, hey, here's the information. Here's a take on it. I tend to agree with you. And here's another data point to support that particular suggestion, which I don't think is all bad. I don't think it's all good either. When that's your primary driving factor, you should go where you're going to be able to get properly developed to maximize your career, because this guy's a 5-star edge for a reason. Yeah, really, really good. 6'5", 250, 255 or so. Powerful guy off the edge, has got some speed, but like he's a 5-star recruit for a reason, Brian. But if you wanted to go down the rabbit hole mentally of he's just looking for the biggest bag and chasing the NIL money and there's nothing really else to it, look at the 4 schools he is scheduled to visit. In order: Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, Texas A&M. If you were to list those 4 schools, Brian, are there NIL collectives that are more well-funded than those? I would throw SMU into that fold, and I'm not being facetious when I say that.
No, you're not. Miami, maybe.
Miami would be up there.
South Carolina, maybe.
South Carolina, really? That high?
Yeah, they got some cash, bro.
Really? I did not. I would not have guessed that with the Gamecocks. But that just kind of can help you connect some dots, right?
Yeah, that's Michigan's another one here recently. I think
Right? The Bryce Underwood situation, Dave Portnoy helping out. Yeah, sure.
So it's Texas Tech has got a crazy boost. There's certain teams that you don't necessarily expect it, but it just takes one individual, even in one circumstance, to make it happen. And for the record, until Michigan won a national title, Ohio State's NIL was good. But when Michigan won a title, Ohio State's NIL became great. Why do you think that is, Spencer? So it depends on motivating factors how good your NIL is year to year. If you think if Florida won the national title, Florida State's NIL will get better. You know what I mean? Like those kind of things. That's just how it works. People get angry, they spend money. So this could change if a team's recruiting class is going south and they thought they could get in. I'm like, Wesley's really good. Maybe somebody else tries to jump in the fray from the SEC or maybe the Big Ten. You never know. I'm not saying Northwestern's jumping in this. I mean, we've got to be realistic here. But even Penn State and Notre Dame, two teams that were really late to that party, are starting to spend some. The one I think that is the longest holdout will be Clemson. They're not going to jump in that fray. That's just not going to happen. They're killing it in recruiting, by the way.
And they've at least started using the portal a little.
Yeah, they have. And
Dip their toe in the water.
Bit, but they do everything on the back end. They're just not going to budge from that. That's who they are. And fair enough.
Yeah, and the other thing that came to mind when you were talking about, this program wins and it kicks everybody's rear end into gear. Oregon for the last several years has won a lot and recruited really well. Who's got the number one class in the country again?
USC.
USC.
Who they've been stealing recruits from? What area?
Oregon. Yeah, and
California?
I don't think that is a coincidence. So for a kid like this, though, Brian, for Richard Wesley, who, as we said, incredibly talented, has the potential, if you can figure all this stuff out, to be a high-level impact premier pass rusher in college football, or he could become one of many 5-stars over the years that just don't wind up panning out for this reason or the other. But if this is what you and I kind of suspect, and again, we're not reporting, we're guessing, if it is that, though, how do these 4 programs proceed? What's different about the visit? Do you even put as much time or effort into everything else that usually takes place on a visit? Or is it just now a conversation of, hey, we're willing to go to this number for you, and that's our offer, and we'll maybe go to here?
Actually, you got to go more into it for the following reason. You got to make sure if you're going to make that kind of investment, especially, and this gets really specific, if you're going to make that kind of investment with any kind of upfront money, you want your players knowing the deal. You want your players, and coaches for that matter, knowing what the kid's like on campus. Is he going to be a fit? There's nothing. Look at what happened to Florida State last year. I can tell you the backstories there were not friendly. About the NIL bringing in some of the kids from the transfer portal. They had problems in the locker room. Once that disgruntlement sets in, 2-10, bro. The worst season ever off a great season in college football history. I'm not saying it's going to be that bad for wherever Richard Wesley goes, but I'm just saying, like, it can fester quickly. And there's going to be other stories like Florida State, but I think that's why a lot of teams are less likely to give upfront money now. They're not going to do that stuff. So you really got to dig in when that young man and or his family and or his handler, whoever comes on the visit. It's different for every kid. Is he going to be a fit? You got to something. This is something like Kirby, I'll give it credit to. He's let guys walk that were dudes. And you know how much Kirby likes recruiting because he didn't want to screw up that locker room. Say what you want about him, but he's a pretty good evaluator of talent. He kind of knows what he's doing. So that other side of the coin is really hard. The teams that are more likely to take the risk are the teams that are unlike Georgia, that like Georgia, a dead dog could recruit there. It's not that difficult to get players to go to UGA. I get it. So a team that's down the rung a little bit is more like Texas Tech's going to take a chance on a kid more than Texas. Sorry, it's just true. But for this kind of kid, I think they all want to bring him in and see, but I would not be surprised if 1 or 2 back off, and it's nothing against him or the people around him. The fit's got to be just right if you're going to spend that money. You almost need close as you can get to a guarantee if you're going to spend that kind of money for what we're expecting. Because like he was super happy, he did the video with Dan and all that. Again, I'm doubling down. I think this is money. That's just my opinion, I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But 17 days committed or whatever, come on. Like, I know kids.
But then the
early,
phrase
I'm like,
decommitted never actually got circulated. It was
I don't know
no
what that
longer
means.
committed. And then there was a quote out there I saw that his dad said, "Oh, it's still 90% of Oregon, but they want to go through the process." I'm like, well, you didn't need to no longer be committed. You didn't need to commit in the first place. You can still just go on visits and be a commit to a school. Like,
That part I don't
yeah,
really understand. I'm not going to guess on that. I don't know, but like, if there was any part of that where his dad didn't know it was going to, come on, he's doing a video with Dan,
right.
so I'm not buying it. So I'm not buying it. Like his dad, I'm sure kind of knew what was going on. So something changed. Other schools are saying, "Hey, come visit," and I'm sure money's involved. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, right, wrong, or indifferent. And I'm surprised they wouldn't have waited it out, because right now, to be honest, right before all these weekend visits for the May 30th weekend, and there are a ton of big visits, there's nobody committing really. It is very small. So I was a little surprised when Richard Wesley pledged to the Ducks in the first place, because same thing you just said, Spencer. Why did you commit? I mean, you still take the visits. You could have committed and still taken the visits.
Yeah.
So this is kind of very unusual. I mean, this is the third in between nowhere option. You're 90% committed, but taking your other trips. I don't know what that means. You got me, brother. You got me.